Hello, mob monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a bit of an Emperor's Children review. Kind of a look at how everything's been going, with everybody looking forward to more and more new releases. And I gotta admit, GW's been doing okay. I don't want to say too much before that ends up blowing up in my face immediately with something tragic, but right now, the recent releases have been pretty okay. Uh, People are looking at Death Guard and World Eaters. I think after that initial, okay, Angron's probably not coming back. Uh, Everything else is kind of filtering. We go even further to the Eldari and the Astra Militarum codexes. Looking alright. So I wanted to check in with Emperor's Children as it seems like nobody's talking about them. I don't know what happened where everybody was excited, people that have waited for this for literal decades, um, kind of dropped off. Like, they're still doing okay. So I wanted to see what's going on here. Of course, the detachment that has been doing the best is the one that everybody's been playing. Coterie of the Conceited. If you are unfamiliar with that, with what that is, let's talk about it really quick. So, Coterie of the Conceited. Detachment rule pledges to the Dark Prince. At the start of the battle round, if your warlord is on the battlefield, you must pledge a number to Slanesh, representing how many enemy units will be destroyed this battle round. At the end of the battle round, if the number of enemy units destroyed this battle round is greater than or equal to your pledge, you gain a number of pack points equal to your pledge. Otherwise, you do not gain any pack points this battle round, and your warlord suffers D3 mortal wounds. Emperor's Children units from your army gain a bonus depending on how many pack points you have gained during the battle, as shown below. These are all cumulative. At 1 or more pack points, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, re-roll a hit roll of 1. 3 or more, re-roll wound rolls of 1. 5 or more, lethals and sustained hits of 1 for melee weapons. 7 up, crits on 5s. So, uh, I'm not going to say like, no, this isn't like great. I think we all knew that this is a good sweep of things for a detachment. My concerns with the stability of this were always the fact that, well, you don't have anything to help you turn one, like you're playing fucking Tau, and there's room for things to go wrong. Your warlord has to be on the battlefield. If they kill your warlord, it's just fucked. And if you end up rolling bad one round, you're fucked. But people are making it work. It's being workshopped. The list, for the most part, was figured out. I did want to come back to this because, yeah, most of these lists right here, same layout. 3 demon princes with wings and 3 lords exultants. We got Lord Cacophonus, Lucius, uh, Lord Cacophonus, Lucius, Infractors, Tormentors, Rhinos, Noise Marines. Like, that's the build out, for the most part, and you can't really. It's not necessarily knock against any of the players because you have to work with what you got. You didn't get too many models with the release. This one, hey, no Noise Marines, just Chaos Spawn, but still the Rhinos. But something interesting happened in Russia, where we have this list, which I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna. We have this list, which has some new things. Mainly one new thing, and different ratios. We have Fulgrim. Now we haven't been seeing Fulgrim because people don't value Fulgrim, and I can't say that I think they're wrong in not valuing Fulgrim. I think he does have issues. But once we run through the list, we're going to go back to talking about the detachment as a whole and kind of go through the things because people are still learning what all of the things of Emperor's Children. Also, people don't have access to that many Emperor's Children things right now. Things definitely went out of stock, and I honestly haven't seen them back in stock that much. So that's probably a portion of it as well. But going through it, Fulgrim, Lucius, 2 Demon Princes with Wings, 1 Lord Exultant, and 2 Lord Cacophonous. two small units of one small unit of infractors, two small units of tormentors, two units of noise marines, two mauler fiends, and one rhino. So I like when big things get involved. Mauler fiends and fulgrim definitely, I think, should be more addressed. I think I put that when I was talking about how Peerless Bladesman was my call out for the best attachment, and I do want to say Peerless Bladesman has been keeping on pace with win rate for Coterie for the last 2 weeks that I saw. Uh, Now I don't know how to pull up the one for the last week. I don't know how Meta Monday's site update is really working. I'm still figuring out everything. But last week and this week they've been pretty much neck and neck. Now there's been like one person playing Peerless Bladesman per week, and everybody else on Coterie. So I take with that what you will. But past that, not only do you have Coterie's detachment rule, we have to remember that the army rule of thrill seekers, if your army faction is Emperor's Children, this unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced or fell back. But when doing so, it cannot target a unit that it was within engagement range of at the start of turn. It cannot target that was the target of another unit's charge or attack this phase. So you can't pile in the world into one unit uh, at a time. But when we're taking some things like Fulgrim and Mauler Fiends, I think that opens up your doors a bit more uh, than the build that we've been seeing. That's just my take on it. I understand why people are taking what they're taking, and let's pull those up as well. But I think one of my main concerns with Emperor's Children outside of the detachment was that they actually were kind of light on the attack and damage output thing. And I was concerned that people were going to forget you still have to score and shit. So like you can't advance everything or else you're not scoring shit. So that was one of my concerns, but I think some people have finally worked that enough. But let's talk about some of the popular takes first. Demon Prince of Slaanesh with wings. Alright, what do we do? Well, each time this model ends a charge move, select one enemy unit within engagement range of it, and roll 1d6 for each of this model's remaining wounds. For each 4-up, that enemy unit suffers one mortal wound up to a max of 6. That's cool. Stimulated by pain. Each time an attack is allocated to this model, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. It is a flying monster, 9, T9, 2 up, 4 up, invuln, 10 wounds, 14-inch movement with deep strike for 180 points. That's not a bad package, right? Not a bad package. And the other one that we should definitely talk about is Lord Exultant. Right here, while leading a unit, gives the unit lethal hits. And euphoric strikes once per battle at the start of the start of fight phase. Excuse me. This model can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, add 3 to the attacks characteristic of melee weapons equipped by this model, and improve the AP of those attacks by 1. Uh, the AP of those weapons by 1. So there's some things here, and I think when I last talked about Lord Exultant, my brain blanked. I don't know why. I think I said it. I said, why would you do the lance with lethals or something like that? But in my brain, I think I was confusing death wounds for something. I had just talked about something. I don't know. Neither here nor there. It has nothing to do with this video, really. But yes, lethals and lance is a good combination. My brain had a stutter step last time I talked about that, so I want to correct that in this video. No shit, lethal and lance is pretty good. So, that's pretty nice. I can see why people are taking them. But now let's talk about what we recently saw in this list, where, again to the Fulgrim and more lore cacophonous. So let's pull up Fulgrim, not Keeper of Secrets. Whoopsie, Fulgrim. Uh, Demonic poisons in your shooting phase and the fight phase after this model has finished making his attack. Select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks until the end of the battle. That enemy unit is poisoned. At the start of each player's command phase, roll 1d6 for each poisoned enemy unit on the battlefield. On a 4-up, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. The demonic Primarch abilities are -1 to hit, fights first, or while an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time that unit is selected to fall back, it must take a leadership test. If it fails, it has to remain stationary. Those activate at the start of your opponent's command phase. So, Fulgrim, Demon Primarch, is he scary? Yes, but not in the same way that they've been scary. Right? Like, -1 to hit, TLF, and 2 up, 4 up invul, and 16 wounds, 16-inch movement is pretty scary. You combine that with poison, sustained hits, extra attacks on Serpentine Tail for 385 points. Flying monster with Deep Strike. You're going to get some things out of Fulgrim, right? You're going to get some things out of Fulgrim. I think a lot of it comes down to, do you want more stuff or not, right? 385 points, there's arguments for better things to be had. But I think the other thing that was one of my concerns is that if you have Fulgrim in your list, he has to be your warlord. And if you need your warlord on the field, that means we're not deep striking, right? We're not benefiting from deep strike on Fulgrim on that point, or else you're going to set yourself back even further. And if Fulgrim gets taken out, no more detachment rule. And all of this also means that if you are playing Fulgrim safe, you are not putting Fulgrim's 385 points into the mix. Apparently, none of that shit matters, right? Apparently, none of that shit matters because of the other things that you have available. Because on the flip side, T11 -1 to hit is hard to left, or harder to left, right? Let's get through the rest of Coterie to see kind of the things about it. So, Pledge of Eternal Servitude, 25 points. Emperor's Children model only. The first time the bearer is destroyed, take a leadership test for the bearer at the end of the phase. If the test is passed, set the bearer back up on the battlefield as close as possible where it was destroyed, and not within engagement range of one or more enemy units with D6 wounds remaining. 25 points, a more difficult Phoenix gem. It's cute. Pledge of Dark Glory, 25 points, Emperor's Children model only. While the bearers leading the unit, improve the leadership and OC characteristic of models in that unit by 1. Cute. 15 points for Pledge of Mortal Pain, Emperor's Children model only. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within a foot of and visible to the bearer. That unit must take a leadership test, subtracting 2 from the result if it is battle shocked. If failed, that enemy unit suffers 3 mortal wounds. Cute point filler. Don't necessarily think you're going for it. Pledge of Unholy Fortune, 20 points. Emperor's Children model only once per turn, just after making a hit, a wound roll, or a saving throw for a model, a hit roll, for a model in the bearer's unit. If the bearer is not battle shocked, they can use this enhancement. If it does, treat the result as an unmodified roll of 6 instead. That's pretty decent for 20 points. So, the enhancements are nice. We've seen like 2 of them, really. They're not something to go out of the way for, right? We're looking at these, and at most so far, Pledge of Eternal Servitude and Unholy Fortune. All right. They're okay. They are okay. So then going back to Coterie, what do we have for strats? Protection of the Dark Prince. Any phase just after a mortal wound or attack is allocated to a model in an Emperor's Children unit from your army. That unit gets a 6-up Feel No Pain and a 4-up Feel No Pain against mortals. Fine, I guess. Martial Perfection. Fight phase. Emperor's Children unit. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll. This is good to get you started with advancing your game plan to get those pledges up. Unshakable Opponents, Command Phase, Emperor's Children unit from your army until the end of the turn. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can ignore any or all modifiers to ballistic skill, weapon skill, hit roll, wound roll. That's pretty good for the current state of 40k, where there's a lot of -1 to hit, -1 to wound, minus ballistic skill, kind of a direct counter to Death Guard coming out right now on that one. So that's pretty good. Unbound Arrogance. You can TODR, increase the pledge to finesse by 1 after you succeed in killing a unit. That's good. You will need that. Get yourself fast tracking on things. Embrace the pain. Emperor's Children Infantry, start of the fight phase. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy model within engagement range of your unit selects targets, it must select your unit as the targets of its attacks. I know there's use for it. I don't rate it that highly. Armor of Abhorrence. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. One Emperor's Children unit from your army that was selected until the end of the phase. Each time an attack is allocated to your unit, minus 1 AP. Armor of Contempt is Armor of Contempt, right? So everything's pretty simple. And again, I understand why the list has kind of stabilized to what it is. There's no but. That dramatic pause is no but. It's more so, I wonder how deep this will continue to go. I wonder if the list is, well, the list is usually never locked, right? The list is never usually just complete locked. Somebody eventually will do some more things. It's kind of too early to just lock immediately, I think. Now, there are a couple of factions that I have gripes with that at the first sign of something, that's the rest of the list for the entire edition. Hope that doesn't become you all. I am just now reading the title, the army list name for this one. Don't think I don't think I should say that on YouTube actually. Before YouTube bonks me. But you know, Coterie, it's good. It's good. Is it good enough? Especially, is it good enough for things coming down the pipeline? Death Guard have been, they're playable now. People are playing them now. They look strong. World Eaters. The other thing is that Emperor's Children, yes, it's fast and does all the things. It's a melee based situation. I wonder how it is going to deal with other melee armies, such as orcs, which I guess they don't want to do melee anymore. They seem to still be focused on Daka between some of their builds right now, and shit like World Eaters. I don't know how the cookie will crumble for Emperor's Children on that regard. That's why I like going back to this list, the inclusion of Mauler Fiends, where they're not Mauler Fiends aren't that new. And let's talk about the Emperor's Children Mauler Fiends. Each time this model makes an attack with Glutton for punishment, each time this model makes an attack, if it's below its starting strength, plus 1 to hit. If this model is below half strength, plus 1 to wound. 130 points. It's the fact that you have advance and charge on Mauler Fiends, right? And they are walking vehicles, so there is room for heroic intervention on top of that. And they do the things, right? They will do the things. They have total of 12 attacks in melee if you're taking lash or tendrils, right? And they will start to solve some of your problems regarding tougher targets. So that's why I feel that Mauler Fiends should be more looked at. There was actually, I know this actually isn't something that to go into, but I could have sworn that I saw that the Helldrake is getting an errata to make it save a 3-up. Don't really know what the hell that was about, but just on the topic of the quote unquote heavier things that you have access to in this army. But yeah, going back to the Mauler Fiend, this is where it's like, yeah, I think more builds will come out where you will see a reliance on Mauler Fiends, because you just need something, right? You need something. If not a shift to boom, 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 Carnival of Excess. So that way you have access to Legions of Excess. But right, I think you just need some more. Fulgrim can try, right? Fulgrim can try, but I think between relying on just Fulgrim and maybe some Mauler Fiends, Emperor's Children might get stuck. They're doing okay so far. We're not in a durability meta per se, but I think it's only a matter of time before we come begging Shalaxi for help again. And by we, I mean Slanesh, so not necessarily throwing myself in there. Debating if I wanted to get some Emperor's Children for the fuck of it, right? Just because, I don't know, it seems like if nobody else gonna do it, might as well dabble a little bit. Fun fact, when I was first learning about 40k and the chaos, I guess not a fun fact, but tidbit, I guess. When I was first learning about 40k and the chaos things, or in general, before I knew that tyrannage were an option, I just thought it was just blue and some of the good power armor guys and some of the bad power armor guys. I was like, well, shit. Emperor's Children are kind of my favorite color. My favorite color is purple. I saw artwork of Emperor's Children that was purple more so than this pink that has been done. I thought that was going to be me, and then I found out that they didn't have models yet, and I said, "Oh, shucks." So that's a short story to say that maybe I should get back to trying some Emperor's Children type shit. But if not, I hope that maybe Land Raiders. Maybe Land Raiders are the answer. 240 points. Show Shatter Last Cannon. Advance and shoot. I don't know. Maybe there's some secret answers there that I'm just not entirely certain of. Maybe they end up with a Custodes build where it's like two. No, I guess maybe not Custodes, but something. I'm worried about the heavy hitting part, and I think that there's options for all of this. And I wouldn't be surprised if Carnival of Excess comes to save the day. After more people realize that for Coterie, if you spend turn one caged up and, don't let your opponent come kill you, and you're playing second, you can give up a turn of point scoring just to make sure that your opponent's game plan does not advance. I know that sounds crazy, but if you do it right, it's possible. And then on the other ones where somebody has a way to take a warlord out, depending on what it is, there's room for Coterie to have downside. So I think that once that gets on the table more often, people are going to figure out how to counterplay against it, and that's where I work for Coterie. Peerless Bladesman, I still have faith in a bit more, but I don't know. I think Emperor's Children is doing fine. Obviously now the build is going to be the build until more models happen. It's going to look like Votan for a while and World Eaters for a while, but I don't know. Emperor's Children is okay. If you are already playing Emperor's Children, tell me what you're finding, please, in the comments down below. There's a lot to be discovered here, but I don't want the rest of the edition to be one build already. Even though we're making strides to happen, right? Making strides. But yeah, so hey, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment from me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.